All right. Sorry for being a minute late, guys. This is our Thrive stream. If you guys have any issues hearing us, just let us know in chat. You can usually watch it. And welcome to the Thrive stream for 0.8.3 release. We are starting to cut those final slices on our way to 1.0. I am Thim. I yell at lawns, but I can also talk to you. I am also a programmer on Thrive when I have time. Anyone else jumping to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Hyhlainen. I'm the lead programmer. A lot of the code reviews and what ultimately makes it. Quite many other contributions. And Tim is, of course, our resident Auto-evo specialist. So if anyone in chat wants to ask why the game makes sales don't like, you can ask Tim.
Your personal chance to wrestle with God.
Yeah, exactly. And Deus is here as well, as of course.
Speaking of God.
Yeah, if you want to have an issue with the way a mechanic is designed, you can take it up with me. I'm the game design lead. I help create concepts, define the scope of Thrive, and then help finalize ideas as they get implemented into the roadmap. And I also, whenever I have the time, do some balancing for the game. So, hello.
Nice to have at least few people here. So I think we should start by going over the release because maybe people haven't read F-block yet.
Did Hyperbolic release or introduce himself?
I think they didn't have a mic before, so
okay.
That might still be the case.
Well, Hyperbolic is also a programmer. He helps, especially now with the planet generator right now. So
yeah, actually,
see him
while I'll hear about some press stuff about the this is going to be like for the multicellular.
You'll see in our dev blog we do have a planetary generation. That is talking about our patch map, that little web you see when you look at the patch map in the editor screen. We now have parameters, so you can make your own little petri dish of a planet and let life evolve the way it will there. Just no 3D graphics yet.
Well, almost all graphics are guys, so are 3D. Not the ones people want to see.
I feel like if people don't notice it's three-dimensional, it doesn't really count that much.
Well,
Yeah.
well, at least some people notice and then they complain about the rocks look. Perspective angle is
2.5D. Okay. Should we go through the dev blog now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So introduce what we
Fim,
just made.
Okay. Fim, do you want to do that, or I can do a bit of that too as well if you want to take a break?
Whichever you prefer. I love to talk, but I feel like you were more in touch with some of these changes.
I'll talk about this, and I'll let you talk for the rest of the stream. How about that?
Oh, dangerous. Let's go.
Okay. So, I'd say our two big headliners are achievements and the planet generator. Tim discussed some of the planet generator first. It gives you some options to affect the procedural map and affect some of the compound balances and volatility of events. As it's a highly requested feature, of course, and of course it's an extensive feature. The initial settings implemented are our first ones, and there will probably be iterative improvement. One, throughout the multicellular stage, if people are available for that kind of work, and if we refine the concepts more. And two, as Hyperbolic Hadron's video shows, for the macroscopic stages and later stages, there will be a 3D world. So that will involve a lot more iterativeness and intentional design behind it. But so far, our settings currently, they offer a good amount of variability and a good amount of customization for our procedural map. Along with that, we have our achievements for people looking at game scores. We have 12 achievements, I believe, in so far, which generally measure the progress a player makes throughout the game. Similar to the plan generator, these are initial achievements, and more will probably be added as development on Thrive continues throughout the other stages. But they involve tackling new, unique metabolisms such as radiotrophy and thermosynthesis, or radiotrophy mostly, movement, playstyle, surviving a certain amount of time, performing actions such as endosymbiosis, and stuff along that line. So it's a nice little way to share your progress and be rewarded for some different decisions and strategies you may adopt. Another big portion also involves some refinement to balancing and multicellular. The prototypes actually got a lot of work from a pretty dedicated volunteer programmer. We had another requested feature, a highly requested feature, intracellular matrix. You now see some connections between colonial cells. And of course, work on I'd say the mapping of the colonial cells hasn't been, advanced fully. So there still are gaps between each cell. And individuals themselves, as with anything else in the prototype, they are prone for refinement and development, and probably not in this case, if we decide certain features aren't valuable, complete changes. But currently the bonds, they look pretty good, and they offer some sort of connection between the different parts of your body. And furthermore, we have balancing changes to the markup stage. For a lot of it has been focused on, I think, where people will notice the most change immediately is agent gameplay with mucocysts and toxins. Specifically, they've been sped up and they've been made to be more potent in many cases. And along with a rework to the mucocyst, which is the shielding mechanic, hopefully players should have more diversity in playstyle. And we'd really appreciate. There are other balancing changes, of course, which I'm blanking on the top of my head, but in general, we would really appreciate any input on balancing changes. There are other changes, of course, which you can see on our GitHub, or our GitHub itself. But yeah, that's a pretty high level cover of what's been implemented. And a theorist, by the way, Juzo Lens, just joined the stream. So I don't know if they have a mic, but if they want to introduce themselves, they can.
Hello, I'm Juzo Lens. I'm one of the theorists on the team. I'm also the one who's been working on the planet for like over a month now. So I hope to also show that off at some point later on in the stream for everyone.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, that covers I'm pretty sure that covers most of the content of the dev blog. So if we want to move on, we can.
Yeah, if
I've got my mic working this time.
Nice.
Oh, nice. If anyone wants to read more details, I posted the link to the full dev blog.
Did we cover my Auto-evo thing? I didn't hear us cover my Auto-evo thing.
Oh no, well, nothing better than the man himself to talk about it.
Yes! I changed the Auto-evo, so hopefully in the late games, everything stops looking just like you. I looked into this bug. I don't think it was actually the case of the player species, sorry guys, just outcompeting everything and becoming one species ruling them all. I think it was the fact that once you became a eukaryote, some of our math made eukaryotes unrealistically good. Like if you have one chloroplast, it just looks at your best parts to see how good you are at photosynthesizing, which is why it seemed like it was a eukaryote could always outcompete everybody else at everything else, which is why you suddenly get a bunch of very small tweaks on your species if you looked at those games in 0.8.2. So hopefully in 0.8.3, you still keep a diverse ecosystem, and you no longer get to be the god species. Sorry, guys.
It should involve kind of insulation against like you mentioned, the patches crashing, right, after the player enters.
Population crashing or like game crashing?
Population crashing, not game crashing.
Yes, hopefully it should insulate
Okay.
against that. I admit I don't look at the population charts much anymore. I look at the species in game. Maybe I
Yeah.
just don't like numbers. I'm a bad scientist. So hopefully the numbers line up.
I think that's what more I meant. Just the diversity of lifestyle, because that's the biggest complaint that people given, that the entire patch gets depopulated after a while. So that's very good news from the designer of evolution. Okay, I think we can proceed now.
Yeah, if that's everything about this, then I predict with 100% certainty that someone will ask going to be in the a little bit of
Sounds good. Yeah. Or does anyone have anything they particularly have in mind when it comes to what they plan on working over the next three or so months?
There's actually another Auto-evo thing Game Dungeon is leading, who's doing most of the Auto-evo work these days, which will essentially just make the algorithm more efficient and faster. I don't think players will see much difference besides things go faster and hopefully they don't break.
yeah, that hopefully they don't break is going. In progress change has multiple times caused almost everything to break in auto. Hopefully going to be ready following weeks so that it can
It'll need a lot of testing, but it gives us a more powerful engine to do more evolution simulation with. Which I expect we're going to need later on as the species get more complicated.
yeah, one thing that I've been wanting for a really long time but doesn't seem like it's ever going to happen is that the algorithm, like the backend, is designed to run a bunch of like small steps, but the new algorithm makes some monstrous steps that take like dozens of seconds to run for a single speed. It's so many random how to split them. Yeah, really nice thing to fix. Loading screen. Kind of losing hope that it would be done before them.
One thing I was just gonna say, one thing about future plans is that the roadmap is looking very sparse nowadays. We are actually approaching a very sizable goal. So I think a lot of discussion will shift towards finalizing the last few concepts yet to be implemented, and then discussing general polish and the general state of the markup stage.
Yeah, we haven't had the usual next release, but basically never we have that before the of that ideas yet. Future. We'll probably remember to post the release planning thread tomorrow, but yeah, the micro stage roadmap is quite empty. There's been some behind the scenes code stuff that tackle as the finally redoing the station point system entirely so that tolerance like they currently do. Current system is way too difficult to wrap your head around. And another two things is that our saving system is complex. Not many people besides me can make new changes that new things to be saved. And then there's also the potential to switch out the entity component system currently use a newer library, likely about 10% fast easy operations. I don't know how much that would speed up the game, but I expect that we can get at least a little bit of performance increase. I think those 3 things are like kind of mandatory to, or the micro stage is done, because they are so big changes that I wouldn't really want to see them happen after the stage is done and we are already the old stuff in other stages as well. So that's going to block me for a while from stuff, but the roadmap fully is pretty. There isn't that much. So there's these pretty issues that that's difficult, like unreasonably time intensive. Hoping other people can.
And I realize the hypocrisy of saying this, but if you're someone who is hoping to help, keep in mind we're in limited time at this point to finish out microbe stage before we want to move on to bigger and better things. We might have to start drawing cut lines here, so let that be your and hopefully my motivation.
Yeah, I expect that we need to cut at least a few things at the end to call the microbe stage done.
I think the terrain feature, just because we can't really be sure when an artist is going to contribute that. That's probably something we don't want to bind to the end of the microbe stage.
Yeah, well, if that gets done, I would see it as something that gets done in the like second to last microbe release. The final set of polishing and
yeah. I think also we have some discussions on the development forums on some polishing stuff, but that's probably after a lot of the more mandatory stuff gets finished.
Yeah, I think a few of the, well, there aren't that many. Well, the terrain stuff is impactful thing. And we can shortly or quite soon start to think about like the new player experience, final polishing of the early game to as interesting as possible.
I'll go ahead, sorry.
I saw a negative Steam review that look it up so that I quote it correctly. They had somehow gotten Drive, but didn't apparently know what the game is about. The review reads as for unbelievably complicated.
That is us.
It can be a lot, as we discussed in our the last Thrive stream. We were talking about tutorials. That's the hard part of making a game with everything in it. That's a lot of things.
Yeah, that's why I think seriously not add any more complexity at the start. Already quite much for the average player.
Is there anything you'd take out?
I don't think I would take anything out. Anything I would like hide some kind of system until later in the game. But I think with the new tutorial flow, like good.
I think if anything were to be taken out, I don't think it should be taken out, but I guess like the least cohesive parts is something like radiosynthesis, where it's kind of like a very like niche and awkward sometimes metabolic strategy, but it's interesting as environmental hazard, and it was highly requested, and it works pretty fine, especially with further balancing. So I don't think that should be taken
I
out at all.
hope the 20% the ATP from thermo and radiosynthesis release is going to be much more viable.
Yeah.
Actually, I just thought of something. I kind of like if I could magically just make some feature disappear, I would actually remove the engulfing mechanic, because that causes so many bugs. So many bugs. Like, I think all of the ghost cells are caused by it, and of course there's all of the players who asked like, why can't I be toxic enough to kill anything that engulfs me, and so on. I don't have any hard numbers, but I think that like maybe close to half or even half, like these kind of visible impactful bugs are caused by the engulfing system. I don't know how you would design it to be not so bug prone, but sadly the current system causes so many bugs.
Engulfing storage as well, I feel like.
Yeah, but maybe Dillinger finally found the root cause and fixed it, so to keep an eye out if the infinite digestion finally gone in, if it got fixed.
Yeah.
We add Dillinger to those Easter egg species names. Dillinger's one good dev.
Well,
I think we did, but I don't know. I think
yeah,
I saw it in game,
there
but
was
maybe I named
someone
stuff.
who added some Easter egg names multiple years ago. I mean, I wouldn't be against if developers want to add themselves. Like, ever since Untrusted Life left, there hasn't been that many enthusiastic fans of Easter eggs, though we have gotten then, but the names list hasn't been like really been updated or anything.
Is Thim in it?
Yeah, I put myself in it. I was that guy.
Oh, great. Nice.
There was some other new dev where I made a new GitHub issue saying you need to put your name in the list and assign that to the developer. That was a few years ago. But I admit I haven't thought about it for years.
Yeah, that's exactly why it's been a few years since anyone got their name on the list.
It all depends on
no,
me.
I didn't. That's all I know.
Alright, well, we've taken up half an hour just talking to each other.
There we go.
Yeah, and the next so yeah, I guess I can announce that the release number is probably 0.8.4 because, well, technically the patch terrain and a few Auto-evo issues are still in the 0.8 milestone, so we technically still haven't reached the 0.9. Probably only get there at the end when we decide to cut the terrain feature from.
I think we have to kind of reorganize our thought structure about the updates for some of them, because the multicellular stage is dependent on microbe stage mechanics. So any refinement theoretically to the microbe stage is a refinement to the multicellular. Not saying that should be the priority of the multicellular, but I think one kind of leads into the other, kind of, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that, and I think anything we throw out of the microbe roadmap be like a new section for like skipped items work on when can.
Yeah, there we go. Also, I just think, inherently, the microbe stage will be slightly altered, not in terms of features, but in terms of balancing and pace and progression with the multicellular stage being more fleshed out, because right now the microbe stage is our entire game, basically. So it has to act as an entire game. But when the multicellular stage is in, it's just one stage of the game. So I think the microbe stage could be paced a lot different. Not a lot different, but a bit different in terms of how quickly things shift and metabolic strategies, as opposed to the multi-cellular stage once it's in.
I know somewhere in the game design document, back when we had one of those that we updated, it said that microbe stage was going to last between half an hour to an hour. I assume that has long been scrapped.
I think around an hour and a half should be like the average, plus or minus 30 minutes, if you're really rushing or if you're taking a bit of time.
Someone
Well,
did
depends.
a speed run on like highest difficulty, and I think it was like about 40 minutes as just a rust-eating monster.
Oh, okay.
See that we have some new developers here in the podcast chat channel, Hexapod Philosophers, about the tutorial text length. So I think still most of the tutorials are pretty short, but any tutorials that I've done recently are like full of text because people kept complaining that the tutorial doesn't give enough details. And I've noticed that even if the text is relatively short, people who don't want to read will absolutely skip it anyway. So I don't think having a short tutorial will save us from skipping it. That's why a few of the key tutorials actually require you to press something specific before they close themselves.
Tutorials
Also-
are an art form, and some people just, I mean, they don't want to read, they don't want to learn, they want to play.
Yeah. Also, Hexpod is one of our two community members. Is one of our graphics artists. Has been putting in a good amount of assets over the past few months. So, yeah, say hello to one of our artists.
Yeah, isn't the new hydrogenosome? I think that's their work.
Yeah, the red peanut he implemented. So,
Yeah, and the new icon for the hydrogenase.
okay, should we proceed into questions? Seems like we've been talking a lot about
We've
going back and forth.
covered the current release and previous release. So let's start with the priority questions. We again have just one set of questions from one of our most loyal VIP supporters on Patreon. Doom Lightning once again makes use of the ability to ask 7 questions. Can anyone see them on stream and
Yes.
maybe read them? Or read the first question?
Then do you want to do that?
So, now that we're getting closer to the Legendary 1.0, what do we feel is missing from the game for it to be, in our opinion, defined as 1.0 when you add them? I.e., what is the MVP, what is the most essential 1.0 thing? I think this is a good Deus question, but I will leave it up to the crowd.
Thank you. I'll mention something. I think, if anything, the weakest point of Thrive right now is that there's not much diversity between the patches. I often say that, well, with currents it made it a bit better, but it's kind of a different background with different compound amounts, but not much variety beyond that. So something like patch terrain generation would be really useful to implement to kind of give more character to these different patches. Beyond that, I think we should put just a bit of thought on how volatile conditions can be. But that's a larger discussion, and I don't have any concrete, euphemisms on, it should be like this, not this right now. So.
How large compounds should be?
How large the volatility should be across different playthroughs.
Oh, okay.
How perhaps certain playthroughs, one compound might be a bit more dominant, another compound might be a bit more dominant. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I've read your forum posts on it, and yeah, it makes sense. But
Which ones?
well, maybe I skimmed
One of
at
the-
least most of them.
One of the 5?
Yeah, they were a bit long. For me, I think the roadmap is basically pretty good, though of course it has the items on like final balancing and making the new player experience better, so not an exact science, the roadmap, but I think once we have at least everything that's like feasible to do, so maybe we sadly won't get the patch terrain stuff, but everything else we probably hopefully get. I think that will make the microbe stage feel like a complete game pretty much. And I
I'll go ahead,
saw
sorry.
that we have Yuzo asking if the G-Blades stuff for the hexapod world can be shed, and I guess we could do that now quickly before we spend the next hour just answering random questions.
Sounds good. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not sure how we are going to technically do it. I guess if you stream it, I can watch it and then it will show up on like my Discord, so then it can be on the stream as well. I guess while we...
As I was typing.
I guess... Yeah, that was your cue to step in. We can make time right now, if you are ready. Okay, yeah, so now's the time for the hexapod. What was it? Some speculative evolution.
Yeah, to catch people up, if I understand this correct. Sorry, was Juzo talking?
You can talk right now if you want.
Okay, well, do you want to introduce the hexapods? Because I'm going to guess a lot of people do not know this lore at this point.
Alright. So...
And, like, how they're relevant to Thrive.
Yeah, I can also get an actual image up of them as well. Let me grab an image. So I know a while back, I was actually working on getting a new mascot for Thrive, and Mr. 42 created it. And being the hexaquill here, and I decided to use it in order to create a series of like species and loading screens. So I've worked for the past month at this point on a planet with G plagues going half insane partially during it. All right. So to be clear, this planet is just one I generated, so it doesn't match anything with like the actual in-game stuff. I've never done this stream, so I hope it's not freaking out too much like this. I think G-Plate's not happy with me trying to go full screen right now. Yeah, I spent a good while on this, so you might be crashing. If it does happen, I do have a video set up to go up on my channel at 4 p.m. today, my time. I'm gonna stop this and just see.
What's up?
I'm gonna try that again. G-Plates loves to be wacky. Alright. And also I should say while I'm trying to set this up again, I will be looking for names for this planet in the chat here. I may still end up making a poll later on, so people can have a chance to choose the final name, because I want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to contribute to this. Okay, I think we should be good now.
Looks like we have Mr. 42 joining, who made the art on the hexapod.
Yeah, hey.
Yeah, and also the other, I should say, the other creatures I actually am using for this are also all made by him. Alright, just let me know when the stream is done.
Alright, I'll swap back. Yeah, I don't think I can show the full thing, but at least like the middle of your screen is visible.
Alright. Just make sure it's set on the... I know there's a bit of like lag on here. I mean, that's fine. It shouldn't be too different. Also hit that. So that should show a bit more. Alright, so I will just say in the video I made, it is going to go over more of some of my decision making and also stuff where it's not as accurate. So this is going to just be a bit of a time lapse. I'm going to actually take some of this stuff off just so it's not as tricky to watch everything. I will say there are some interruptions that form, but this is what I end up creating for over a month of like all of July. I should... I'm gonna do it. Yeah, so it is I think it goes kind of slow. I didn't change the rate of this at the moment. I can speed up a little bit with this. And so I start with super content, breaks up. In each of these contents, I also plan on having a poll to name. So I hope everyone in the current live stream does think of names as well, plus oceans, island arcs later on, mountain ranges, and also the names for the other planets and the 2 stars for this system, because there are going to be 2 stars, a yellow dwarf and a red dwarf. So do think of different names, and I'll do polls to figure out which ones we end up going with.
So yeah, if you want to get involved in another side thing, somewhere related to Thrive, this time with a dev at the lead. I know we have a million forum games and Spec Evo projects, but now we've got some G-plate sliders.
And plus this is going to be to help with the loading screen, so we have a consistent loading screen and species we can watch over time. That's my main goal with all of it. I also have HSC in chat. Someone said it made a dinosaur. Yeah. I think that was about one of the super continents, so I think that might tie into a name of one of the super continents, maybe. We'll have to see. And this is the final one. I will say, so at this point, I can sort of pause it once the islands are away. I haven't finished everything yet. I do plan on adding some island arcs where they would belong. I'm going to go back and fix coastlines a bit to make it look nicer and all that. But yeah, this took a lot of work. It also drained my sanity a little bit over time because G-plates was definitely wild on occasion. But I'm very grateful to have gotten this done, and I'm going to also get to work on the actual evolutionary trees soon. I have done some work on it already, just I haven't gotten models yet, and I've done a lot of thinking for it. All right. Thanks for letting me do that, guys.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, thanks
nice.
for showing that. I realized that I earlier said the species name was hexapod, but it is actually hexaquill. Just to correct myself. Then we can go back to the priority questions. We were going to answer the second question from Doom Lightning next.
Yeah, so the second question is all about masochism. We want to know, are there any new modes or challenges or things to make things difficult? This user specifically wanted to ask about extinguishing the sun. Do we have any plans to do that?
I mean, I kind of floated around the idea that like Deus wants the very unstable start, but I worry the new players are going to get wrecked by that, so I'm saying that maybe we could have like some kind of starting scenario picker or something like that, and well, if someone wants to, they could also add something like a rogue planet or some kind of other extreme challenge mode into that selection.
How's
think-
this? You send us your speed runs of you beating Thrive if you think it's so easy, and then you tell us what you think would make it extra hard.
There we go.
Good
I
call.
don't know about extinguishing the sun, but I think with planet customization, there should be options to make sunlight, I guess the atmosphere more or less opaque so that there's less sunlight, and make other compounds more or less available. So I think the idea is with the planet customization options, those could be variables for you to play with.
Yeah, or something like being a planet around a dwarf star or something like that.
Yeah. I think
Or Taurus planet. Taurus planets have some pretty extreme conditions in the center points of the whole of the donut.
a donut planet like in Halo. That'd be interesting. I think ultimately with the expansion of the editor or the planet generation feature, I think a lot of those options open up in the future. But for now, I think it's tweaking parameters for the compounds and their availability.
All right. Then I think we can move on to the next question. I guess you've mentioned this place before. Something over? Oh, yes. So there's a question about how each of us came to work on the game. So I think for origin stories, I'm just going to go straight down the list as it appears in Discord. So I will start with Deus, and feel free to pass it on once you tell your story.
Oh.
We'll skip people who don't have mics.
Appreciate it. Okay. I was a community member since about, I think, late 2018, and I would post my pages longs of ideas for the game. And obviously, I didn't know much about the game and its constraints and where it was going before, so it would be rough, but they get attention from some of the team developers, and I would be a pretty constant contributor to the forums. And eventually, I think the ideas matured to a point where they were pretty solid. So people on the team were saying, "Hey, let's get this guy involved." And I said, "Cool, I'll be there for sure." And yeah, that's my story. I'll pass it on to HH.
All right. I think we basically answered this question like last stream or the stream before that. So I'll just give the really short version that back in like 2015, I had some spare time and I was thinking that maybe I could level up my programming skills by helping out an open source project. Then I just happened to see a Reddit post from Thrive seeking new team members. So, and I also saw that Thrive was using at the time the similar libraries that I had already used in my own engine and game dev stuff I had been working on. So I decided to join. Or well, I helped with one thing at first, but then later on I got an email that am I interested in doing more or being part of the team, and I said yes.
Hyperbolic, do you have mic?
I believe I do. Can you hear me?
It works. Yes.
All right. So, yeah, I'd say my story is probably a bit more random in that I was just looking for various open source projects that seemed interesting to work on. I've been interested in open source games for a while. Have any of you looked into Open Morrowind before? Heard of
I've heard
Open
of it
Morrowind?
before.
OpenMW? Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
I have not contributed to it.
Yeah.
I had been following that for quite a while, but unfortunately, they've been doing really well, and I don't think they really needed more help. So I was originally going to work on with them, but thought I might look at other projects that might need more help. And I think I was looking at a Wikipedia page just listing a whole bunch of open source video games, and I found Thrive on it. And seeing that the planet generation system has been sort of cursed feature that hasn't quite been able to be completed. That looked like a very interesting thing to tackle. And so that's how I got here.
You know, the curse
fact.
claimed. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the curse claimed hyperbolic for basically a year after you joined, and then you came back one day and said, "Hey, I have this dynamic sphere. I'm working on it." And we said, "Cool, that looks very nice."
It's a very deadly curse. It should
Yes.
not be underestimated.
I was just going to pipe in that I was a Skywind developer for a brief time, and also popped off because I feel like my talents are more useful as a programmer here. Small world.
Am I good to go?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Yeah. So I got into Thrive actually. I remember. I think it was first from a video. I had heard about it somehow. I kind of was like, oh, that's cool. Didn't pay attention to it much at the time. Then saw some more stuff on it and started following it a bit better. Actually downloaded the game, tried it out. Eventually, and I was watching one of the streams actually for an update, and I remember them saying, "Hey, we need more developers." Like, "Hey, I have a college degree in science. I'm gonna go for it," because at that point I wasn't doing anything with that degree, so it was like, may as well do something with it, even if I'm not paid for it. And here I am.
Yeah, for me it was pretty similar. I just didn't have a degree. I started off as a player, but then I heard that you were hiring like people to work on the project, and it was around the same time when I started working on Blender, so learning it. I sent first application. It was declined. Okay. I waited 2 years, sent another one. It was declined. But then I sent my application as a sort of social media guy, and yeah, now I'm here. So yeah, it was pretty
Sounds like
random.
John.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we
And I guess
hear Tim's origin story, I remember I saw at the start of the stream someone said in YouTube chat is that when do we get multiplayer? But well, I have to sadly announce that the one person who was trying to make the microbe stage into a multiplayer mode, they have now disappeared. So the counter for curse developers who have disappeared has just gone up, and Casterisk is the latest victim of a cursed feature, which is now multiplayer.
I have been very careful to avoid cursed features in my time here, which is probably why I've survived so long. My origin story was very boring and clean. I one day was thinking, man, why didn't anyone try to replicate Spore? And I googled, did anyone make a Spore spiritual sequel? And then there was some Reddit post that said, yeah, there's this thing called Thrive, but they died years ago. And then I looked up Thrive and eventually made some GitHub contributions. I resisted joining the team for a while, and eventually they were like, you're already making codes, so join the team. And then I did. And now I'm here, talking to people online.
Tim also left at some point and then came back and said, "Hey, here's this new Auto-evo thing." So
Oh, true.
Here's this new Auto-evo thing, but I'm not going to implement it. Does anyone else want to? And then Game Dungeon did, so...
I guess that charmed you enough to say, "Hey, maybe they do care about me," and he came back.
I have commitment issues. Speaking of which, we are being asked in number 4 question to rate our rate the overall performance, I'm going to assume that means how much we like the following Thrive versions. So just keep this in your head, guys. We have 1.0, which is not out yet, 0.8.3, which is the most recent version, 0.6.2, which is one version before the version where we first went onto Steam, and 0.3.8, which I'm pretty sure came out in around 2017. So does anyone have a favorite out of those?
0.6. I don't even remember what these versions were. Hold on, let me look
I
up some
think
stuff.
version 1.0 will be good. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think we need to hope that it's going to be good. Like, these were kind of strange versions because, like, I wouldn't rate 0.3.8 very highly because it was the, if I remember right, the first or the last version before the 0.4 engine change. So that was like, that was still on the old code and everyone else had left and we couldn't like really make changes, and that caused like a year plus of no new versions. So I think that's kind of a cursed version, that 0.38. So that would get a rating of 1 from me.
0.6.2 was the first prototype, or no, I think one of the first prototypes updates, by the way. So that was a pretty big, sizable change.
Yeah, I think that would be also pretty up there. So like I would put like 1.0 gets the best points, then 0.6.2, and then 0.8.3. Because while we did get quite many new things, and especially the multicellular prototype enjoyers will like this release, I don't think this is better than the 0.6.2, and of course 0.3.8 gets a fail from me. Not very good.
Did you work on it?
I'm pretty sure I did already take over. Actually, we can find out based on who made each release on GitHub. Actually, that
I would
version
say-
doesn't even exist. There's 0.3.4, which is like the, well, pretty old version. So,
Well, you rated 1.0 as the best, and that's another version that doesn't exist. So
well,
I think it should be rated equal.
well, yeah, well, I guess technically,
It will be the
but
best.
anyway, yeah, I was already releasing 0.3.4 back in 2017, and that's actually the first version I released.
But you
Wow.
don't like it.
So,
Well,
yeah, so your first version release is your least favorite one.
well, yeah, because that was still using all of the old engine stuff, and then so that was in June 2017, and then it isn't until December 10th, 21st, 2018, so a year and a half before 0.4.0. So
I think that was right when I joined the community.
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, that was basically when we swapped from the legacy engine that all the previous programmers knew about, but I didn't really know.
Huh.
So yeah, because that version caused a year and a half a drought of Thrive releases, that's why I think it's pretty cursed and bad. So of course,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
many people like the version when it came out. It had many good new features and improvements.
I remember that stretch of time where there were just dev blogs given a kind of a history breakdown of Earth's evolution. And 2018, I thought, wow, this is a cooked project, I guess. But now look at it.
Well, speaking of cooked, let's roll on the next question. Does anybody have a favorite extinct species? I'm going to interpret this as real-world extinct species.
I think we gotta agree on Animal Acaris.
We all agree on ammo, you said? Or
Animal Acaris.
Hmm.
Wait, let me find a picture of this guy.
I'm pretty basic. I like dinosaurs. I like Spinosaurus, so that would be mine.
This one.
Oh, Anomalcaris, yes. Okay, yeah, that is a very interesting one. I think Anomalcaris is something I like. If I make concepts for the macroscopic editor, that's something that sticks in my mind as how the hell can we create some. Oops, my bad. How we can create something that looks like that, while also allowing
Yeah.
other things to be created. So, it is a strong candidate.
Well, I might fight you guys and go with Lystrosaurus, that little lizard groundhog thing that dominated the early Triassic. I've heard different numbers for what percentage of vertebrate life was just that one species, but it makes me want to go adjust Auto-evo in real life.
Oh yeah, Lystrosaurus, the lawn of evolution in real life. I think if Thrive was being released back then, instead of yelling about lawns, you'd be yelling about Lystrosaurus.
Hey, Lystrosaurus, why? Be more species. Eat other Lystrosaurus. Cannibalism was so easy for like 5 million years. Come on.
Oh, real.
You represent like all of the player base when you talk about cannibalism, because people are often ask that why can't I eat my own species?
We have a really, I don't know, really, I don't know what word I'm gonna say. I'm thinking of a word. Hold on. Someone else speak. Ruthless community. They want to do a lot of things to their own species when they play Thrive.
They're just thinking like microbes.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
All right,
I
well, I'll
assume
move on to the
next
next question. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. No, I said next.
Okay.
I assume next question's good.
Cool. Now the achievements have been added. What extra achievements do you want to add?
I think.
Are you going to take achievements from the community, essentially?
I think we all. I looked at some lists from the community a lot myself, but thing is, a lot of them are either related to later stages or are impossible to track with the current game. So it's just kind of tough sifting through all that.
Yeah, most of them are like complete jokes, so I think we should very maybe avoid like 99.9% of the community suggested achievements.
Some of them are, reproduce as a asexual cell on a planet revolving around a black hole, which, we can't really represent that right now, Thrive. But I think if there's any room for that sort of stuff, I think we can take names from communities on achievements we like the sound of and we want to implement. And also, if there's any achievement I would say we should include, it's just something that revolves around murdering other cells, kill 50 or 100 cells or whatever. Anyone else have any achievement ideas they would like to see?
I want to add weird achievements. We've talked about this before. Stuff like getting engulfed and then your engulfer dies and gets engulfed. Those are hard to do or reproduce. And or they involve engulfment and those bugs.
I can see, I can support that, yeah. But I know Harleen says
Well, many people wanted achievements about losing the game, and well, I'm kind of against having achievements about losing the game on purpose.
Here's a trophy, you lost, you loser.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's several achievement options we can reach out for if we say, hey, we want more achievements.
Yeah, but I don't think we should add too many more. I think something like maybe 15 or 20 achievements should be the absolute maximum per stage.
Yeah.
So we can add less than 10 more achievements for the microbe stage.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. Depending on also how hard the player base finds it to get certain achievements too. Like if it's too easy
I think we
to get these ones.
we have the endosymbiosis achievement, which is pretty difficult. So we might want to add like 1 or 2 more difficult achievements, but I think the other ones should be relatively achievable.
Yeah.
All right, well, if everyone else is cool with it, I might actually skip this 7th icebreaker question just so we can get to more questions from more people. Because I think the ice is pretty broken here. I think we're flowing pretty well here for this podcast.
Yeah. Unless someone really wants to talk about combining species.
I'd combine smaller cells into a bigger cell to perform endosymbiosis. There we go.
Ooh.
Yeah, and primum trivium as well.
I
Just
yeah.
Just to get the name of the game into the mixed species.
I'd combine 3 primum trivium into 1 to create an organism with 3 cytoplasms in the game. There we go. Snail, cat, and dog. It sounds German.
All
Pretty
right.
much.
So that's all of
Sounds
the
delicious.
priority questions. So maybe we should look at the chat a bit. Maybe they feel a bit left out. So did anyone see anything interesting?
Some user, the Trif user 1454, said that sulfides in every patch now, and that it's weird. Did we already talked about it, or is it something we have to talk about?
Well, that's just one of the minor new changes in this release. So I think we skipped talking about it.
All right.
I think if it's an issue, I think I ought to, I guess, reduce a reaction to something else.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, it's been brought up like multiple times that maybe oxygen presence should reduce it, but hydrogen sulfide in Thrive represents a group of compounds and not all of them are super reactive to oxygen. So it's kind of not required from a realism standpoint.
The thing is, we name hydrogen sulfide very specifically as its own compound, whereas something like iron, iron itself reacts to oxygen, but iron involves multiple forms of iron, which may or may not react to it. So that's my perspective.
Well, it's not on the roadmap, so I don't have to implement that. So if anyone wants to be Thanos and remove hydrogen sulfide when oxygen arises, then they need to program it themselves.
Let's see, we have 2 questions from Hydronautica. One is, I've literally not checked on this game since the first started development, which is amazing that you found this Thrive stream after all that. Can you summarize what you've accomplished? And then a related question, what are your plans after microbe stage?
A lot.
Does anyone have any good summary? I don't think I can. Like, it would be a productive use of time to try to summarize everything, like we've done. An absolute
summary of changes since when? I'm sorry.
Start of project, or quote, it first started development.
Like 2012.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, hey, download it. There's a free download if you don't want to pay us money, and you can see everything we accomplished.
We have a microbe stage with actual microbes. For one.
Yeah, and actually the game has the feature in the options menu to view all of the previous patch notes, and I think I added all of the historical ones, so back to 0.2.4. You can just like scroll.
Actually, you can finish the game now. You can ascend and fly to space.
I think, well, back before development began, it was just T models just floating around. So I think everything literally
true.
is the change. We have microbes. We have a game. You can lose, you can die, you can win. There we go.
You can thrive.
You can thrive.
Yeah, you can get the achievement for it as well.
You can get one of 12 achievements as of now, actually.
And the next stage is going to be the multicellular and the macroscopic, and well, our wiki describes the rough plans for those.
There we go.
Then I put on the stream the general questions people asked before the stream on our forums, and I think we could now alternate between answering those and if chat has any more questions. I'll note though that there were some unrelated discussion in the question thread, so I'm going to scroll past those once we get to those.
Tim, do you want me to take over for the community forum questions, or? Tim seems to be busy right now, so I'll go through the first set of questions. From 31415. Question number 1 is 1.0 still conceivable within 2025, and if not, when do you expect it to be released now? I think Karlinen is probably the best one to give an estimate for that.
Yeah, I think it's still very much possible. Like, we might need to cut the patch terrain feature, or like put it aside in the roadmap and call 1.0 done. But I think we can pretty much finish all of the remaining items and have time for me to do the back-end fixes to get the microbe stage into a good place to be a foundation for the rest of the game. So yeah, I think we can make it still in 2025.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think we asked second question about the advanced planet generator. I think we accidentally already covered that when Hyperbolic Hadron was here, and I played the short video on the tech demo progress of the planet stuff.
They mentioned, there's a foliage generation system prototype right now. As the video showed, it was kind of abstract, but it's good to hear that there's progress there, because they seem to be a bit quiet the past like month or two. So that's good to hear. Okay. Man Productions asks, will there be a 3D model of a planet in the planet editor? When the 3D planets are actually done, I think that could definitely be feasible and I think for as it relates to the microbe stage, once that 3D planet system is kind of created, it might not have direct correlation with the procedural map itself, since the procedural map is an abstraction of a lot. But that preview image could be generated for future stage stuff.
Yeah, I'm of the same opinion that once we have the planet 3D model generator stuff, then we could add some visuals from that. But I think we would actually want to do some kind of quite good linking between the microbe map and what the planet actually looks like. But yeah, that's going to be a future problem for when we have the 3D planet visuals generator done.
Yeah.
I would
Okay, are
nag
there any-
hyperbolic, but hyperbolic wisely dropped off.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see many chat questions right now, so we can go through the stream questions more.
Yeah, I think there were early on the stream more questions, but we once again didn't have anyone to be the dedicated chat questions rememberer.
Yeah, and Juzo Lens and Miss 42 have been responding in the chat too, so they kind of addressed some other more minor questions. Okay, which user is this that we're over in the community forums questions?
Yeah, it's from Kefcore.
Kifkor, okay. So they ask, oh jeez. Random questions. Achievements. This is going to be where I want to know what the behind the scenes discussion should go, not just how is 1.0 going all the time. Are further microbial achievements going to be added soon, or will these be it as we move into 9.0? 0.9. What kind of references from the community or pop culture have been put on there? We kind of discussed this briefly. We're kind of wary with the pop culture references because we don't know. Well, we reference the history of the entire world video a lot, actually. Or not a lot, but that was kind of where our mind was converging a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely want to use like some interesting references in the achievement names, but I think they should still be like understandable without the reference. So we need to pick those pretty carefully.
Yeah. And you know, we discussed how we'll probably want at most either 15 or 20 achievements per microbe stage or per stage itself. So I guess that's a good estimate. Maybe at the most 8 or so achievements.
Yeah. I'm not sure when those are going to be added, but
yeah,
probably someone will want to use up some of those achievement slots. But once we are starting to run low, then we'll need to think what are the most fun achievement ideas before we allow the last few achievement spots to be taken.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If no one else has any input for that one. Number 2, in a not so serious question, or sort of serious question, but then one that'll go down very far in the future. Okay. What do you envision with Hexaquill merchandising or the mascot of Thrive as a plushie with enough backing aside from production and delivery costs of potential material or merchandise? Do you see this being beneficial towards the development of the game, or would crowdfunding through Patreon or the sales of the game only matter? I think merch is more kind of relevant for larger fan bases and one with more kind of character driven.
I think the performance of the Thrive soundtrack on Steam is going to be pretty indicative of any merch ideas, because we got like less than 50 wish lists over like 3 weeks, even though we mentioned it multiple times in the progress update. So I think even if we made merch, we would have less than 50 dedicated fans who would want to buy it. And with physical merch, we would be making at most like $5 per item due to manufacturing costs, etc. So even expensive items don't have that much margin in them. So we would make maybe 200 bucks of profit from any merch, and that doesn't include any of the design work. So we would need to get free designs done by someone to even have any chance of making any money.
Someone who can design plushies for an alien unique shape.
Yeah, and you know, who knows what that shape will be, because the whole point of the game is that it's player driven. So who knows what merch would even be desirable by someone wanting to buy something.
Well, I think the fans are actually pretty like the mascots. Like the Hexaquill
Yeah.
is not super popular yet, but I think it will gain popularity just as the Disturbance has over the years.
Yeah.
But,
It'd be nice to just get a signature on the Disturbance because, it served us very well.
Yeah. Yeah,
I could see.
I
Go
think the bigger issue is that we just don't have enough fans who would buy merch to like make any kind of thing. Like even if we got like 10 extra dev build tier patrons, that would make in like 2 or 3 months way more money for the
Probably,
future
yeah.
of Thrive than any merch. And like we've been talking about merch for years, so even like the mental cost of talking about the merch is probably way more than we can ever hope to make.
Honestly, yeah.
So maybe in like 10 or 15 years, if the game is a lot more popular with YouTubers and people like that, then we might have a big enough community to make physical merch items actually worthwhile.
Yeah. Okay. If no one else has anything to add to that, there's a question listed on the Ms42 mentions a question from Builder Boy 02 on the Thrive chat. If players had infinite computing power so that lag wasn't an issue, what's one feature you'd like to add?
I would just make the compound cloud plane simulation like 10 times the size. Make the entity limit like at least 5 times larger or maybe even more. And then make the max zoom out distance way more. And Auto-evo, of course, would try way more different species combinations. So basically it would like supercharge the game if we could just like burn CPU time of like hundreds of threads on each player's computer.
Yeah, I think with computing power, it's less adding features that are new and more just refining current features. Like you mentioned compound clouds, but things like the multicellular max count of a colony, or I can imagine the currents maybe could be benefit from that too. But yeah.
Yeah, they could have way more particles and look more like currents, and yeah, we could make the fluid simulation itself could be like driving the exact currents, and we could render the whole thing, and like a full-on fluid simulation like in like really expensive supercomputers do. We could do those as well. Like we could do if we had infinite computation power, basically we could do so much more simulation.
Yeah, or just swarms of tiny bacteria and prokaryotes.
If you had infinite computation power, we could make a computer write Thrive.
Yeah, we could actually simulate real evolution. We could simulate 100 trillion microbes living at the same time for 100 million years and see what comes out of an evolution simulator without any shortcuts or simplifications.
We can simulate the development of Thrive itself,
Yeah, that we could create the matrix.
We could make simulations of us that write Thrive forever.
It's like the infinite monkey paradox, I guess.
I see that.
Infinite monkeys.
Well, if we are ready to move on, I see Yujo said that someone asked in chat if the soundtrack is available on Bandcamp. And well, the answer is that yes, but it's a somewhat outdated version uploaded by Oliver. So if you get it on Bandcamp, you support Oliver directly. And not Thrive itself. But yeah, that's fine as well if someone wants to do that. But we have a few of the newer tracks are only in the new official Steam version of the soundtrack, and all of the money from that goes directly to Revolutionary Games to support the continued development of Thrive.
Okay, I think we can move on to community forums question. From Anthropocenian Age, who can be a pretty active member on the community forums. How much more work does the membrane rebalancing feature need in order to be included in the game, since it would seem like that originally going to be part of 0.8.3? Yeah, that's on me. Opening something that I didn't do much work on right after. Honestly, well, I need to fix some of the graphics issues. I try to see if I can make the membrane more rigid, but the membrane doesn't like to render if it's way too unrigid. So I need to make sure that is fine and probably revert that, honestly. But honestly, the balancing, it's kind of ready as an interpretation of bouncing, but it's just about how the player base will react to it that gives me a bit of hesitance, because it is a bit of a shift. So.
Did you still want any code for if a membrane has 0% speed that you can't turn if you have 0 speed?
Yeah, can't turn without external parts. Yeah.
I can probably still dig up what I did in my fork for that and give that to you if that's the direction you want to go. That was probably going to be my next small manageable thing to try to do in the code base.
Sure, yeah. If you can do that, I'd appreciate that.
All right.
Sounds good.
Goal
There we
achieved.
go. Look at that. Well, Anthropocenian Age just got some coordination working, so that's a very good question. Question number 2 from them is, are there eventually plans to add more membrane types in the future, like glycerol ether membranes found in archaean acidobacteria, or the ability to modify membranes further? I think I'd say no on more types. I remember I had I think if there was any feature that could be potentially added, would be a shield, but even then, that's not one, non-roadmap, and 2, I think with the balancing changes, it's not as necessary. That's something I would think about sometimes, at least with type A and type B membranes with bacterium, which kind of represents virology. But, as of now, I don't think that's a very good use of our development time.
I think any new membrane type should have been suggested 5 years ago, because we have had the same list for 7 or 8 years now, and it has been pretty good. So I don't think we should try to shove in more types suddenly now.
Yeah, even now the issue was differentiation between the 6 types we have, and which was what the balancing tweaks were kind of aiming for. So hopefully with this new balance patch that I'll force through by that time. There'll be less of a justification for adding more membranes. Okay, that's the questions from there. We'll move on to the next ones. I'll try at least on the community forums. Ask, what's the biggest thing being added in the coming update? Well, we discussed future plans immediately. Right. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to. Right before we discussed this, we talked about how Hirelanden needs some back-end sort of management that he wants to get to. And along with that, just finalizing the roadmap items.
Yeah, I'm trying to look through the roadmap items, and there aren't that many big things. Well, maybe if I do the context hint system, but I don't really know where I could fit it in the GUI, because we have all kinds of displays everywhere already, so I'm not sure where that would fit. But if I have time for that, or maybe some kind of cell division animation, it would be pretty good if I make it. Those might be like the biggest visible changes. Of course, if I get the backend stuff done, then the game is probably going to run faster and have less random lag spikes messing with the playability in the late game, because a few months ago, like there's every now and then someone experiences or has a save where like there's just like random lag spikes at regular intervals in the game, and like I have no clue what's still causing those, so I'll need to like debug that as well. If I find the cause and fix it, that's going to make the playability a lot better, but it's not very visible.
I was gonna say too, I think I'm gonna try to get some opinions on the game from the community. It's been a while since we had a general sentiment survey on Thrive. I think it's been over 2 years basically at this point, if not more. So it'd be nice to see how community's feeling about the game before we're supposed to finish the microbe stage, and see if there's anything we really notice in terms of feedback. And beyond that, I'll just probably try to spur a discussion on polishing the microbe stage.
Yeah, so
Anyone?
like no immediate huge big things are probably going to be in the next release. We are slowly running out of big roadmap items and focusing more and more on getting the last few details right.
Yeah. Okay, number 2, will there be... I'm sorry, I'm distracted by the delinquency going on in the podcast chat right now. Will there be any updates in the near future relating to the macroscopic and aware stage prototypes? I'd say probably hold your breath on the macroscopic and aware stage. It's just really far out, whereas the multi-stellar stage prototypes, they're dependent on microbe stage mechanics, so those can have more volunteer crossover. But for those stages, they're kind of, far out.
I was going to say that there's a chance, but then I remembered that Dillinger, who has been like doing really good work on the prototypes recently, but he's only been doing work on the multicellular prototypes. So yeah, I think it's unlikely to see macroscopic or aware changes soon. So of course someone can just randomly appear and drop us a massive upgrade to the prototypes.
Okay, any questions from... We went through 2 community questions. Any questions from the chat that we see? Well, Mr. 42 has a question from Mr. 42. If Mr. 42 would use a minute in the next video to promote Thrive, what should he mention? I mentioning the completion, or the approaching completion of the markup stage. I don't know if anyone else has any ideas related to that. I don't see any other chat.
What would you want to do, Mr. 42? If we forced you. I mean, if you wanted to.
Yeah, I if I wanted to, let's be honest, I probably will, because there is like a Q&A on my YouTube channel, and there was like a question: what inspires you? What games? what can you like suggest playing or something like this? And yeah, I was going to talk about Thrive for a minute or so. I wanted to talk about it, the chemistry part of it. So like, it really inspired me back then, when I realized you can just become anything, like a plant or something. So yeah, that's probably what I'm going to say. I will also say that we are nearing the completion of the microbe stage. So yeah, I'm just asking in case there is something I have to remember to say.
I don't think so.
Something I can.
Okay. If you want to support development, maybe mention the Patreon and stuff. But beyond that,
sure.
You need to always remember to say that Thrive is an open source project, and anyone listening who has any game development skills can find out how to join the team by following this link I just posted. And of course, if someone doesn't want to join the team, like maybe you are still in the early stages of being a team, then you can just send us your code as a pull request on GitHub, and we will have a look at it. See if the suggestions for the changes in the game are good. So you don't need to even join the team if you just want to maybe help us with one little bug or feature. You can just send us your code directly.
Or your money.
Okay, good. Okay, thanks. We'll try to mention all that.
But like, also don't mention too much stuff. Don't make it seem like too corporate. Like, keep it cool and short. But like, also mention all the things.
Yeah, let's try it.
We'll send you our PR
Strike a
package
balance.
after.
Yeah.
All right.
Make sure you don't say certain terms after too. You know, we have very certain liabilities where if you say something, you can get sued by the mega corporations, I guess. So
Oh no.
we'll send you that too.
Oh no.
We're being sarcastic, by the way, in case you don't know.
What? Okay.
Okay. I'll move on to the next question from the community forums if anyone else has anything else to contribute. CAS96 asks, what is potentially the first post 1.0 update going to cover? Essentially the first post microbe stage completion update, which would mean we'd be developing the multicellular stage.
We are probably going to be still fixing bugs in the microbe stage because we have like 600 open known bugs.
Yeah. Also, probably the first things that are truly multicellular being worked on will probably be just making prototype systems not so prototype, I'd say.
Yeah, that's
way.
good. And I think like the first release will be focused on making the core gameplay loop feel good in multicellular, because right now it's like a bit too slow and there's other problems. So I think we need to start off with the biggest rough edges first, so that the then non-prototype stage we are working on will be a good experience as soon as possible, and then we can start thinking about all the features we still need for the stage.
Yeah, I agree. It's just a continuation of microbe stage mechanics. So it's, we can push more complex things into the game to make it more rewarding for the player. But also, we need to be careful of not just making players deal with 5 different things at one time. Number 2 from CAS96. Will we ever get a radio feature games like Hearts of Iron 4, I assume that is, have for Society Stage at least? I haven't played Hearts of Iron 4 personally, so I wouldn't know what that is, but I assume in wartime it'd be a nice little ambiance. But we haven't really thought much at all about the Society stages, so we can't really say what will be.
And that would be industrial stage, idiot.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Get out of the chat.
Hearts of Iron 4.
I don't know either, but maybe.
Yeah. Builderboy02 from the stream chat asks a question like that. Or asks a question. Have you decided whether or not to use voxels for World Gen? Last time I asked, HH said that he couldn't think of a way to make a voxel grid fit around a planet. But could you use multiple grids?
I I don't think I said anything about that. Like Hyperbolic probably said that you can't make voxel grid work, so I'm interested to see what Hyperbolic Hadron makes. But if I had to make the equivalent volt generator, I would try to go for a voxel approach.
There we go.
And that's why I'm not working on it yet, because I don't have experience in that area.
I think for things where voxels might relate to, like for example, I can see digging as something like that. Stuff like that would have to be dealt with more simply, but with kind of dynamic layers. So for example, if you try to dig as an organism, the camera floats above you and you move under the surface, but the speed and your abilities to do out of digging
Okay,
get
so
altered by your
just
organism
ask an AI what the radio feature is in Hearts of Iron 4, and it claims that the radio feature in it is that there's music stations that play period appropriate music while playing. So based on what country you are playing as and like the time period that the game is in, it will play music that is from that time. I don't think we can have this in Thrive, because this sounds like extremely expensive to license unless we only cover. I think in the 1920s there's already copyright-free, like expired copyright stuff. I don't think we can afford anything newer than that.
But all that stuff comes from Earth, which isn't accurate.
Yeah,
exactly. So
that's true as well.
We need to drag Oliver back. Get him started on this.
I mean,
Yeah.
we could probably make some. I think we could probably make some music for the kind of playthrough you have. So if you play democratically, you have one soundtrack, and when you have build a dictatorial state,
Well, there's only one democracy team and I think one autocracy team, so we are still quite limited with the completed music so far.
Well, we'll see what the technology is like in 30 years when we begin developing society stage.
Industrial stage.
Oh yeah, my bad. Oops.
I have a hunch that society and industrial stage, if we ever get to that point, will either be chopped up into a million smaller stages or merge into one. I will leave that side discussion for another time, but I have a hunch we will continue not noticing the difference. If that day ever comes.
I agree, but I also want to go into more elaboration, because Harlan almost had a stroke the last time he talked about changing stage names and going through all the progress, like the work tweaks you need for that.
Yeah, there's so many. And actually, like in the past week, I've answered like 2 community forums like questions that did you mean actually multicellular or macroscopic? Because people still aren't fully clear on like the terminology. Of course, like they were asking about like something that was discussed like 2 years ago when the terms were appropriate, but now everyone should like switch to the new stage names, because otherwise every discussion is super confusing, because they are talking about like organelles doing something very, very different in multicellular, but that isn't like true, because it's just a continuation. So I think they were referring to the old late multicellular concept, which is nowadays called macroscopic. So even in like the human discussions, it's a complete mess to split a stage or rename a stage, like after we've been doing how many years of Drive development with the same stage name. So it's just a complete mess all over the place if any stage is to be renamed or split differently.
In summary, if we see early or late multicellular in the chats, we will kick you from our community.
Yeah, and before you are allowed to chat, you need to take a test to determine if you have understood what is the new multicellular stage contents.
A Thrive civic test, I guess. There we go.
Thrive.
Unless
The game's so
you're on our
complicated. You
Patreon.
need to. Sorry, go ahead.
Unless you're on our Patreon.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Pay to win. Bypass system. Patreon mechanic. Them, you were saying something?
Mr. 42's quip was better. I cede the floor.
Okay, I see. Fair enough. Okay, moving back to the community forums questions. Erica, who's a new member, I believe this is their first post, says, at what stage will it be possible to attach the surfaces? After all, some unicellular and colonial organisms can do this. Well, the for sure answer is the macroscopic stage, because in early life especially, evolution was split between planktonic and pelagic lifestyles, which includes free swimming, and benthic lifestyles, which includes, crawling on the ocean surface or moving around there and digging and stuff. So at the very least, that whether or not there's attachment in the multicellular stage would depend on when terrain generation gets implemented and if we can create concepts for that. Yeah, I'd say it depends completely. The first question we should ask ourselves is probably, when can terrain generation come in? And from there, for the microbe stage at least, and the microscopic stages that is. And from there we can talk about attachments to subjects, to substrates.
Well, even for microbe states, there are microbes that attach to stuff. So, like, it's been talked about multiple times in the team that we should add, like, was it stentors or something like that that could attach to
Holdfast.
Iron rocks. So if someone someone wants to do that, they could already, but it's not on the roadmap. So if someone really wants that type of life to be represented in Thrive, they need to make it themselves.
There we go. Okay, and number 2. Can other organisms outrun mine in development? Could it be that I will be at the microbe stage and another organism is already at the multicellular stage? I feel like we get asked this once at least every other stream, and the answer is yes, to a certain extent. You can't, being a microbe while the other things are macroscopic is probably a level of detail we don't want to simulate, and we don't want to put too much dedication towards, but in terms of, microscopic progress or macroscopic progress within this stage itself, that already is kind of possible, because you can go from others, cells can outlap you for adopting a nucleus already, and eventually it's probable that other cells could outpace you in the development of binding agents. So
Yeah, slight overtaking of the player is kind of possible and in some rough plans, but due to the game timescales, if the AI is too far ahead of you, we just need to consider that a game over. So we are not going to do some really crazy stuff if the AI gets to like aware stage while you are still a microbe.
yeah.
Right, that
Okay,
was
those are questions.
both questions. Then let's scroll down. I think there was, this was some discussion. More discussion. Then we didn't have any more questions. No one managed to sneak in a last question before the stream started. So yeah, that was all of the
Alright, chat, pour in your questions. 3 devs are about to leave.
Yeah, now we can.
Yeah, if chat has any questions.
Focus on.
Yeah.
Speak now or post it in the forums like an hour from now.
Yeah, there we go.
People, actually, I'll play a tiny bit of Thrive here on stream, so we can still claim that this is a proper Thrive stream. well, maybe Deus and Tim can roast chat a bit, ask them to force questions out of them to keep the stream going.
See, Finn is the mean one. I'm pretty nice to the chat.
Yes.
Did evolutions have any real progress?
I mean, yeah, Thrive happened.
Here we go. Nice, Flowey, the Overseer.
There we go.
Also, do you guys know of Terraria or Rain World?
Yes.
I know that Rain World has a YouTube video on it saying it was the best AI ever, and as someone who worked on the AI of Thrive, I'm never going to watch that video because I'm jealous. Next question.
I played Terraria before, but not much. Will there be Zaza in Thrive? For anyone who doesn't know, Zaza is euphemism for wheat. No, unless it evolves naturally.
Will there be Zaza in the creation of Thrive?
What Rain World
Depends on the
have
developer.
to do with Thrive?
Sorry, you said what, Mr. 42?
What Rain World has to do with Thrive?
It's kind of a good example of procedural generation, I think, at least. Or procedural storytelling, I guess. So it's kind of brought up sometimes, since we are a very procedural game.
So I'm playing Thrive on stream now and I'm showing off the new ripple effect. It's, well, I didn't have a good screenshot to put in the dev blog, so there's no screenshot of it in there, but I think this is a good visual change to immediately see the new release. Looks a bit different than the last one. And well, I guess I will have to cheat a bit. Hopefully no one minds. But this time there's this text that I no longer get achievements in this game because I've cheated.
See, in my live streams where the developer meetings happen behind the scenes, I just accept death, but you cheat.
Yeah, I'm going to use these new organelles that are this. I'm not exactly sure what else I should be. Maybe melanosome, because it has buffed ATP generations. Very good now.
You see, Deus, your meetings are about simulating the player experience so we can make it better. These Thrive streams are about giving the player an unrealistic expectation of their experience, so they think it's good.
Oh, they think it's good? Do you have a negative opinion of our video game we're creating then?
No, just this is a demo.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know nothing about sales or industrial
Yeah,
stage.
that's the whole point.
I'm just defensive. I'm just defensive of my gameplay with Thrive.
Oh. Oh, okay, never mind.
Harlan, someone wants you to know that it's not symmetrical, even though you have infinite MP.
Yeah, I guess some people are really fans of enforced symmetry mode because people have been asking for that as well.
You can turn the speed up.
He called you boring.
Oh. I think I have to remodel the radiation eating organelle because it really doesn't have a good texture right now. So I have to work on it a bit.
I'm not even...
Jeez.
using the radiation for it.
70 ATP per second. There we go. there's the answer to everyone in the community asking for more powerful radiosynthesis.
Yeah, now close enough to the radiation rock, I can just use purely radiation for all of my energy here.
It looks like Thim just left, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, no, 4 developers actually. Any other questions from the stream?
What's a question or type of quest that you'd wish people would stop asking?
That's a good question for Higher Lena.
I think that, well, asking about like, well, this time we didn't like really get any of the like super late game like questions about like super far off stuff. Like those are always a bit annoying to answer because we just like don't really know, so we can just only speculate. So I think those are kind of not the best type of question. I think, yeah, radiosynthesis still seems pretty hard.
You only have one known in part, right?
Sorry, which?
You only have one radiosynthetic part, right?
I think I have 2 and I've did so. I have a few more.
Oh, okay.
3. But yeah, this is kind of the problem with this gameplay style, that while I'm here, I could in theory like stock up on glucose if I... Well, actually, let me get a sulfite to glucose thing. So if I have like chemoblasts like that, then I can eat up this.
Okay, yeah. So I gotta go now. Remember, never stop exploring. See you next time.
That was a nice intro. Our outro.
Right, yeah.
That was Mr. 42.
Yeah, you could technically kind of like stock up on glucose while here. You can't like really that much radiation. There's like another radioactive rock there.
Does the strength dissipate with time from one rock?
Well, I mean, it's kind of hacks the compound system, because like right now I have radiation in me and it makes ATP, but it goes away as it turns into ATP. So it doesn't last that many seconds.
I think I view radiation as a nice kind of environmental effect.
Yeah,
hazard,
it's
which can be
mostly
used,
a
like, nuanced.
bonus thing.
Yeah.
But people who try to like yearly eat radiation, like you just can't do it, like I'm showing. But like if you can find radioactive rock where you could make like hydrogen sulfide into glucose, you could kind of like stockpile there and then wait around there and then leave once you are full up. But it does seem...
I mean, in real life, it's only bacteria which really display that kind of adaptation. So I think it's fine to have it as a very alien and unique lifestyle that isn't very viable.
Yeah, this is kind of difficult, but like does kind of work. Like I can
Yeah.
kind of like not use any glucose while I'm here and stockpile like effectively.
Thermosynthesis and radiosynthesis, I think we approach them as not like kind of, I don't want to say not official metabolisms, but not ones where you can progress very far with them. Just
Well,
ones
I mean,
which
I'd
offer
at least
unique
hope
playstyle.
that maybe some game designers would consider helping out with balancing these features rather
Oh yeah, for sure.
than maybe
Yeah.
the membranes being overhauled, because these kind of get more complaints from the players than any of the membrane stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on it a bit, but I think, and I'm saying the approach to it is less that making it a maintainable long-term metabolism and more just a unique kind of playstyle that players can really challenge themselves to achieve with.
Well, I think this is kind of a viable organism. Like I can kind of stockpile radiation and glucose when I find a radiation rock. That like helps me survive a bit more, but definitely primary food cannot be radiation even like this. Did we get any more final chat questions? We have maybe a few minutes left until we hit the 2-hour mark, when we are legally allowed to end the stream.
Legally. Yeah, last call for questions, guys. I don't really see any right now, but
Usually someone asks something at the last minute, at least.
will there be trucks and deer added in Thrive? No, there will not. Unless you involve deers.
Well, we probably need to model some kind of logistics framework in the industrial stage.
Yeah, but would that involve designing the vehicles? That's the question, I'd say.
I mean, there's like two camps of players. Ones who want to design absolutely everything, from the simplest axe to every single vehicle I'm building. Then there's me and some other players who think that it would like massively make the stage way longer.
Yeah.
I think we kind of need to do both, so like we need to have like some kind of pre-made designs, but also full customization possibilities if someone wants them.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. That's a question definitely for not another day, but another year. Yeah, I don't really see any other last minute questions trickling in.
Yeah, maybe I'll show my achievements. I added actually a button that's secretly here in development mode only, where you can reset all your achievements. So I actually have only 3, but I've tested every single one that they can be unlocked. So this is what the achievements menu looks like. And I added this feature where the achievements can show their progress here. Like some of these have quite clear progress values, so they are shown here, so you can see how far away you are from being good at the game. It was a little bit of Thrive gameplay, and now the actual final call or any chat questions. Does anyone?
One question. Yeah.
Yeah.
From
Does anyone
Corsa
still want
mapping.
to know something?
From Corsa mapping, one question is what types of reproduction are going to be added in the reproduction tab in the multicellular editor? I think we target at least 2 asexual and 2 sexual reproduction styles, but it depends on if we can find diverse enough methods to warrant that. but we know we need at least one more sexual reduction thing, and
We can then
Which will be-
clickbait all of the
yeah,
progress updates and dev blog about that release.
yes, I was about to say it'll be really alluring update for certain people.
All right, so yeah, how long the stream has been going? 2 hours
2 hours
and
and 1 minute.
1 minute. So we can end the stream. We lost quite a few developers here the last
Yes.
few minutes, so well, we still have Deus here at least.
And usually,
Yuzo.
but they don't have a mic, so
Still sticking out. Thanks for keeping company for the last few minutes, so I don't have to talk all by myself. Those aren't like the best Thrive streams where suddenly no one else can show up.
of course. But I say we can sign off now.
Yeah. Thanks
Thank you
everyone for
the-
watching,
Yeah.
and let's say the final goodbyes.
Thank you, everyone. This is only possible through your support. We would really appreciate any feedback you have on the game, and we really appreciate you spending time with us today.
Yes. If anyone wants to leave feedback there, actually I'll give the one more link. The community forums has a dedicated thread for feedback. Oh, and I see some people have already used it, so yeah, we'll be reading that and starting planning the next release tomorrow.
Yep.
Alright, bye.
Bye, everyone.